But who is it? He remembered doing something in his dream before the soul recovery. In her dream, she was with a grown-up Xiao Yuan. No. Xiao Yuan is my disciple. How can I dream of such indecent things? His noble master image can't be ruined like this. At this moment, Wei Xingji woke up. Yuan Chu wanted to take revenge. No one can bully her people. Looking at the boy's cute face, which had some anger in it, Wei Xingji realized that the girl in front of him is a cultivator. This serious appearance is actually very cute. Perhaps protecting her at all cost is the right thing to do. Yuan Chu led a menacing Wei Xingji to find the Wei Sheng family. The Wei Sheng family had never seen such a scene before. They wished they could strangle that unfilial son. Yuan Chu didn't have the time to watch them discipline their children. Either pay money or pay with your life. Just as Yuan Chu was about to attack, the Wei Sheng family head quickly offered money. Without taking the money, Yuan Chu tossed the money directly to Wei Xingji. Wei Xingji was refreshed. Now that the money issue was settled, it was time to settle the matter of the broken limbs. She didn't ask much. 2 fingers from Wei Xingji and the old man would do. Wei Xingji didn't expect Yuan Chu to do so much for him. Is this what it feels like to be protected? Even though they were unwilling, the Wei Sheng family had still ordered to drag them down and break their fingers. They thought that Yuan Chu would finally calm down. But Yuan Chu also asked for compensation for mental damage. They almost lost it. This was too much. And Wei Xingji didn't look like he suffered any mental damage. Who would have thought he'd be so fake? Wei Xingji immediately pretended to be weak. Yuan Chu secretly praised him. He was definitely a top actor. This series of moves made everyone's jaws drop. They have never seen such a shameless person. But thinking that the Wei Sheng family had hundreds of members, and they couldn't withstand even one move from Yuan Chu, the Wei Sheng family could only grit their teeth and endure. Yuan Chu walked out of the Wei Sheng family satisfied. Yuan Chu threw another pill into his mouth. All his internal and external injuries healed completely. Even his meridian was completely restored. Wei Xingji looked at her gratefully. He didn't expect someone to care about his crippled body. Just as he was about to say something, Yuan Chu's stomach growled. She wanted to eat a lot of meat. Wei Xingji immediately stopped her. What are you being so formal? What's the difference what we eat? I'll take you to a good restaurant. You can't be too frugal at such a young age. At the same time, Yi Chenyuan had cultivated to the peak of foundation establishment. Could he go out soon? Li Lao asked him why. Because I want to see my master soon. This thought confused Yi Chenyuan. How could he have such thoughts? Why did his heart ache? Forget it. I don't want to think about it. I just want to go out sooner, as long as he uses the lightning power of the talisman to break this barrier. When he saw his beloved girl was embraced by another man, his eyes turned red in an instant. Just now, Yuan Chu and Wei Xingji were attracted to a phoenix grass fruit. They found out that someone was about to break the seal in the secret realm. Yuan Chu immediately recognized it was Yi Chenyuan. A thunderbolt landed. With a terrifying lightning strike, the hidden entrance of the secret realm was opened in advance. A white-clothed youth came out of the dense lightning network. Yi Chenyuan came out and immediately looked around. When he saw Yuan Chu, he felt a sense of peace. Yuan Chu was anxious to check on Yi Chenyuan's situation. Move away. A lightning bolt came down, almost hitting Yuan Chu. Wei Xingji immediately pulled her to his side. Yi Chenyuan's eyes flashed coldly. How can Wei Xingji be with my master? Yuan Chu still wanted to go to Yi Chenyuan's side. Wei Xingji tightly held her back. It's too dangerous there. This scene fell into Yi Chenyuan's eyes, and made him want to kill Wei Xingji. Yuan Chu finally noticed something. Even if Wei Xingji was blocking the stray lightning strikes for her, the unaware Wei Xingji thought it was the lightning affecting this side, and was more determined to take her away. So he directly hugged Yuan Chu and called her A Chu. This made Yi Chenyuan's eyes bloodshot. Let go of your hand, let go of my master. A golden thunderbolt shot towards Wei Xingji. Wei Xingji was shocked. He held Yuan Chu and dodged it. The spot where they just were was blasted into a pit. Yuan Chu looked seriously at this strange event. This was the first time she saw someone controlling the thunder. Could it be that little Yuan could control lightning? He wouldn't have done it intentionally, would he? Thinking of this, she immediately shouted to Wei Xingji to leave. Wei Xingji only experimented a little bit, but he was immediately struck by a lightning bolt. Yuan Chu quickly used her power, sending Wei Xingji to a safe place. She turned to Yi Chenyuan and noticed that the lightning seemed to avoid her. Yi Chenyuan was engulfed in lightning. Yuan Chu was conflicted. She stared at him with all her might. Yuan Chu was shocked to see him in this state for the first time. She threw herself into his arms and hugged him tightly. Yi Chenyuan felt the softness in his arms. His mind gradually cleared. Little Yuan, I missed you. Yi Chenyuan almost said he missed her too. No, I can't do that. I'm his disciple. He quickly pushed Yuan Chu away. He looked at her enduring the lightning. She was in so much pain. Yuan Chu felt like her heart was breaking. She wanted to rush over, but was stopped by Li Lao. Li Lao was weak and almost transparent. He told Yuan Chu that Yi Chenyuan was opening the third sea of consciousness. Yuan Chu was angry. Isn't opening a sea of consciousness, at this time courting death. If this lightning ball hit him, Xiao Yuan will die. What should she do if Xiao Yuan died? Did she already rely on him so much? Since that is the case, then let's live and die together. Yuan Chu used the soul-sharing technique. She sent her life force towards Yi Chenyuan. At the same time, the lightning ball crashed down. At the critical moment of his collapse, Yuan Chu's life force passed through the lightning net, entering his body. Yi Chenyuan widened his eyes in an instant. How could she do this? I can't implicate her. Yi Chenyuan forcefully interrupted the soul-sharing technique. Yuan Chu could only watch helplessly, as he went through it alone. Yi Chenyuan absorbed the lightning into his body. A light flashed in his eyes. Thunder, show me your power. There was a loud bang. When he saw his beloved girl in another man's arms, his eyes were instantly filled with killing intent. But, he didn't understand why he was so angry, having his cultivation being forcefully extracted. Looking at the sleeping Yuan Chu, Yi Chenyuan frowned. Could she be into her master? No way, she can't have such thoughts. She needs to calm down. She'll wait for him to return. But the master in bed was nowhere to be seen. When Yuan Chu woke up, she didn't hear Yi Chenyuan's voice. She couldn't help but run outside to find him. Normally, Yi Chenyuan would wait for her to wake up. Could it be that her disciple isn't being loyal? A voice called out to her. Wei Xingji fainted after being struck by lightning. He wanted to ask Yi Chenyuan what happened, but didn't get a chance. Yi Chenyuan suddenly appeared. He glared at the man who was close to his master. Yuan Chu quickly pulled back her disciple, who smelled strongly of gunpowder. She was close to death from a soul injury. She was fine thanks to Wei Xingji. So, they had been together all the time. Wei Xingji felt the pressure drop even lower. He saved his master, but not only did they not appreciate it, they looked at him like an enemy. Yuan Chu pulled Yi Chenyuan aside in embarrassment. What are you doing? Wei Xingji was speechless, as if he doesn't have a master. The original Yuan Chu wanted to know why he was so hostile to Wei Xingji, and even wanted to use lightning to kill him. Yi Chenyuan frowned. Did even master notice it? Yi Chenyuan answered a different question. He mentioned the soul injury from before. He felt something has been off ever since then. Yuan Chu has already. Could it be that the strange dream affected him? No, no way. It was just a dream. Could it be that he saw the modern things she has? Would he think she didn't belong to this world and reject her? Seeing his panicked expression, Yi Chenyuan asked her if she wasn't feeling well. Yuan Chu pretended to be confused and could only feign ignorance. She said she didn't remember what happened. Then, she changed the topic. Now that Yi Chenyuan's dantian was fixed, they could go to the empire to find the fake goods. Wei Xingji said goodbye as they were going to the empire. Yuan Chu also told Wei Xingji, don't tell sect leader uncle about my injury. Their interactions looked like jealousy to Yi Chenyuan. He urged Yuan Chu to hurry. He noticed that his master had been suffering lately. He wanted to take his master to a restaurant to replenish her health. Wei Xingji almost forgot that he was also a big spender. Just because he has money, you have been spoiling her. Yi Chenyuan proudly said that he could afford to support his master, spend as much as she wanted. Yuan Chu felt that if they kept talking everyone, he was so convincing that Wei Xingji believed it was an accident, not Yi Chenyuan trying to protect him. For her sect, she was really doing so much. She waved goodbye to Wei Xingji. Yi Chenyuan instantly returned to his gentle self. Master, are you hungry? Do you want to eat what I buy, or what I make? Yuan Chu looked at the roasted egg. Yi Chenyuan indulged her. Then go steal some. A moment later, Yuan Chu ate the roasted egg. Hugging the male lead's thigh was the right choice. Yi Chenyuan was distracted. Just a small threat like Wei Xingji had made him so anxious. What if other men appear next to master in the future? He needed to get used to this. Yuan Chu was also troubled. Yi Chenyuan pampered her. Yuan Chu felt that life was not fun without her little disciple. Yi Chenyuan's expression showed his possessiveness. One moment, he was saying he would stay together for a lifetime. The next moment, he didn't want to be together. The Empire's top academy had a beast that detected special constitutions. Yi Chenyuan didn't want Yuan Chu's constitution to be discovered. He didn't want her to come with him. Even if she threw a tantrum, it was useless. He could do anything, but his master must be safe. Yuan Chu was so mad. Not only could she not get close to the impostor at the academy, little Yi Chenyuan was so overprotective. Yuan Chu, not reconciled, ran back to her room and packed the small ornaments Yi Chenyuan gave her. She was going to run away from home. Yi Chenyuan panicked. But, he tried to coax her. Let's not care about those external things, okay? Just stay with me. Yuan Chu knew he wouldn't agree, but she wouldn't allow anyone to touch his gifts. Suddenly, her eyes lit up. Then, she told Yi Chenyuan, if it's yours, you must take it back. Also, I feel that I'm about to break through. I'm going back to the sect first. Yi Chenyuan didn't believe her at first. But, seeing that Yuan Chu was serious, he gradually calmed down. Yuan Chu gave him the dragon egg. It wouldn't be easy for him to cause trouble with the dragon egg. Yi Chenyuan was somewhat confused. She gave the dragon egg back to him. Does master really want to leave me? But his master couldn't always stay by his side. He hoped that when they meet again, master would be all grown up. Yuan Chu was confused. Was he talking about growing taller? A few days later, Yi Chenyuan arrived at the entrance of the Empire's top academy. Many people had already lined up to apply. A beautiful woman suddenly looked surprised. The beauty was Yuan Chu. She was really too smart. Her cultivation was only at the great perfection of Qi training. No one would notice her here, and her acting skills were something little Yuan couldn't do. This way, she could watch little Yuan while having fun. It's a win-win. So, where do we go to play now? Yi Chenyuan placed his hand on the test crystal. The crystal showed 5 colors. The examiner was speechless. Was roots enough to even test? Suddenly, he looked closely. It was actually roots at the late stage of Qi training, and he was still under years old. The surrounding candidates were shocked. Wasn't cultivation supposed to be slow? Yi Chenyuan effortlessly passed. After Yi Chenyuan left, Yuan Chu ran to test. A dark-clothed man said there was such a beautiful student. She was similar to the sick Mu Qinghan. Mu Qinghan was captivated at first glance. Then Yuan Chu arrived at the testing station, but she was told she failed. Yuan Chu wanted to say she had many skills, but someone spoke up for her first. The dark-clothed man, Wen Liang, came over with Mu Qinghan. The examiner was surprised. Why are these 2 young masters here today? He caught sight of the cute Yuan Chu. He was stunned. It turned out he was interested in this cute child. So he asked Yuan Chu what her special skills were. Yuan Chu directly took out a big piece of metal. This cute girl actually twisted the metal into a pretzel. The 2 young masters were stunned. Where did you find such a violent girl? One tap and all your bones would shatter. The examiner's mouth twitched, but he still wanted to say she failed. He was about to speak, when Mu Qinghan gave him a soft warning. The examiner instantly trembled. Yuan Chu easily obtained her passing certificate. Seeing the 2 young masters about to leave, Yuan Chu quickly called them over, thanking them for speaking up for her. Each time, they took the initiative to say something, when Liang excitedly introduced himself. But he was cut short. He suddenly felt pain in his palm. Mu Qinghan was tightly pinching him. Yuan Chu was still waiting for her next turn. Mu Qinghan was blushing at her cute appearance. He hastily urged Wen Liang to leave. Yuan Chu watched the 2 who fled, her little head tilted. What a strange person. At the inner courtyard entrance, the arrogant Wen Ku was harassing the proctor. He blocked the entrance, but no one dared to stop him. Yi Chenyuan was among them. Yuan Chu also came to the inner courtyard. Her eyes immediately spotted Yi Chenyuan in the crowd. She immediately wanted to turn around and leave. But Wen Ku saw her. Her beautiful face immediately drew his attention. He didn't expect such a beauty in the outer court. He reached out to touch Yuan Chu's face. Yuan Chu dodged it. Not just anyone could touch her face. Wen Ku was arrogant. There's no one in the outer court I can't touch. He reached out his hand again. Yuan Chu really wanted to slap him, but little Yang was coming. Oh no, help. The touch he expected did not happen. Yi Chenyuan grabbed the man's hand. Could it be that little Yuan recognized me? Yuan Chu thought. Wang Ku warned him not to interfere. Yuan Chu's heart pounded. Little Yuan never stood out before. If she gets found out, she would get scolded. Yi Chenyuan acted without thinking. He himself didn't know why. But the moment she appeared, he felt a sense of familiarity. It was the same feeling he had when Master successfully refined pills. A voice interrupted their standoff. His brothers called him and had to join them. When Liang introduced Yuan Chu as their little cousin, Wang Ku was terrified. How did he offend someone from the Mu family? His family had no ties with the Mu. If they sought revenge, he wouldn't know how he died. Yuan Chu didn't know when she became someone's cousin. To not raise suspicion from little Yuan, she called Mu Qing her older brother. Wang Ku quickly apologized and left. Then, Yuan Chu was invited to the family pavilion. Yi Chenyuan watched them leave intimately. He began to doubt if his feeling was wrong. Yuan Chu, to thank them for their help, gave them jade pendants. When Liang thought she just had a strong background, and didn't try to pry, Yuan Chu didn't tell them who she was. Anyway, she wasn't a bad person. Mu Qinghan said that from now on, she was his little cousin, and her name would be Mu Qinga. Yuan Chu knew that this boy was not simple. She sensed that there were powerful experts protecting him. To avoid unnecessary trouble, Yuan Chu agreed. On the other side, Yi Chenyuan felt that something was off. He was probably the most worried disciple ever. Her master was already a child, and she also liked playing role-playing. Yuan Chu, who had successfully entered the academy, went out for a stroll, but she was blocked by Mu Qinghan's admirer, Su Heyue. Yuan Chu didn't understand why. Isn't this kind of trouble the protagonist's treatment? So she actually wanted to start a fight. But she was only in the great perfection of the Qi training realm, she couldn't beat them. The other party attacked without saying a word. Yuan Chu didn't want to fight, she could only dodge. She tried to counterattack and hurt them. Suddenly, she sensed a familiar aura approaching. She spaced out for a second and got hit directly. Just as Su Heyue was about to press the attack, she was blocked by a strong force. Speak of the devil. The familiar aura was Yi Chenyuan. Why is little Yuan here? Suddenly, she had a brilliant idea. She used a cute and soft voice to tell Yi Chenyuan to run away. Who knew that Su Heyue couldn't stand it? She didn't use any lethal moves, so why bother watching? Yuan Chu retorted to him, criticizing his arrogant words. Unbeknownst to her, Yi Chenyuan was carefully observing her. Looking at Yuan Chu's clever appearance, he was sure that it was his master. Since it was his master, he wouldn't let others scold her. He coldly glared at Su Heyue. Su Heyue was terrified by his menacing gaze. Yi Chenyuan grabbed Yuan Chu and left. Yuan Chu mischievously mocked Su Heyue. Yi Chenyuan instantly shot her a glare. Yuan Chu felt a bit guilty. Did I get found out? Let's try to see if I did. Then, she remembered the task of the fifth young master. Seeing his expressionless face, Yuan Chu flirtatiously winked. Young master, you saved me. How about I repay you with my body? She remembered that was how she tried to flirt with little Yuan. But, he had pushed her away. Suddenly, she was shocked to discover that Yi Chenyuan used a spatial teleportation spell. The next second they appeared in Yi Chenyuan's room. His deep voice was so attractive. Yuan Chu panicked, I'm done for. The two were slowly getting closer. Li Lao suddenly appeared with gleaming eyes. Turns out, little Yuan likes this kind of playful flirting. Yi Chenyuan forcefully released her. His face was very dark. Yuan Chu didn't know what had just happened. She apologized subconsciously. Yuan Chu's heart was pounding fast. She almost kissed him. That was scary. It seems like little Yuan hasn't recognized me, but I really can't handle this kind of awkward atmosphere. Yi Chenyuan knew that she was alone, and wanted to send her back. Before leaving he told her not to talk to anyone, especially men. Yuan Chu didn't understand his thoughts. Why is he so concerned about a stranger he had only met twice? Could it be that he is falling for my current role? Did I accidentally break him? Actually, he was trying to figure out if he could imprison her in the Heavenly Pearl. But, Master had acted so intimately. He really couldn't handle it and almost kissed her. Have I gone crazy? I keep doing impudent things. But he really wished that kind of lively expression could appear more often on his master's face. Maybe, it wouldn't be bad to keep his master by his side. The next day, Yuan Chu just woke up. Only then did she remember what happened. A year-old girl eating with a basin-sized bowl. But, now that she was facing her favorite meal, She had lost all interest. On the other side, the girl actually took her food, and used it to please other girls. She was so angry. Yi Chenyuan was stunned. He made all of Master's favorite foods. Yuan Chu was like an angry kitten with all her fur up. Yi Chenyuan helplessly sighed. If she didn't want to eat, then he would just eat it himself. She needed to know that this dish wasn't just rare. There was only one left. Yuan Chu was shocked. When she left, there was clearly still a lot left. Could all of them had been stolen by little Yuan Yuan? No way, that last dish was hers. HMPH, I'll get back at him later. Yi Chenyuan thought his master was really too easy to fool. How can she be so cute? Yuan Chu felt her heart tickle. Why do you keep looking at me when you're not eating? Yi Chenyuan smiled charmingly. Because you're beautiful. Yuan Chu's mind went blank. Oh no, little Yuan Yuan is too charming. But, she was his master. She tried to act calm and drank some water to clear her head. Then, she changed the topic and asked why he was looking for her. Yi Chenyuan said that he wanted to take her to a place that night. Yuan Chu became serious. At night? What are you thinking? A man and a woman going out at night, that's dangerous. Yi Chenyuan sighed helplessly. He was talking about going to scout out the place. Besides, if I really wanted to do something to you, would I need to wait until night? After saying that he left first, Yuan Chu angrily dug a hole and jumped into it. What a sin! How long has he been gone? Yuan Yuan changed. He can't let Yi Chenyuan wait in the battle arena. Realizing what he said, his handsome face blushed. How could he say such disrespectful words to his master? At night, the two came to a confluence of rivers. Yi Chenyuan felt the dragon egg in his dantian. He could sense that the river had the bloodline of a divine beast, the white tiger. Before Yuan Chu could react, Yi Chenyuan embraced her. He jumped directly into the river. Then he began to form hand seals. The dragon's blood can help locate the divine beast. Soon, the two arrived at the white tiger's dungeon, but they discovered a giant jellyfish guarding the entrance. Its strength was equivalent to a later-stage nascent soul human. Once discovered, it would be difficult to escape. Yi Chenyuan chanted an ancient dragon spell to hypnotize it. As long as it was not touched, it would not attack. Yuan Chu carefully moved to the entrance, but she still accidentally touched it. She stepped on the corner of her dress. Yuan Chu quickly fixed her clothes. The awakened jellyfish surged, about to surround Yi Chenyuan. Yi Chenyuan pulled Yuan Chu next to him, and disappeared from the spot in an instant. Inside the heavenly pearl, Yuan Chu was scared. Thankfully, Yi Chenyuan has the heavenly pearl to protect them. Suddenly he realized, did this stranger know he had a ring space? Oh my god, you actually have a ring space. Yi Chenyuan was amused by his exaggerated acting. After a moment, the two found a lush green throne. Yuan Chu remembered that this was a very important object for the male lead. She reminded Yi Chenyuan to take it. Yi Chenyuan was a bit confused. He was always like that. Every time there was something good, his first thought was to give it to her. Yuan Chu explained that sitting on the throne could strengthen one's body and prevent qi deviation. Upon hearing that it could prevent qi deviation, Yi Chenyuan immediately thought of whether he could use it. He didn't hesitate and sat on it, and instantly vanished from the throne. Yuan Chu originally planned to sit and wait for him to come out, but after only half an hour, she couldn't take it anymore. She began to have ideas about the throne. I think you're too pitiful. He was probably the most miserable transmigrator. Not having a cheat, or a golden finger is already bad. He can't even compete for items with the male lead's protagonist halo. Like now, even though he knows this is a great inheritance, it will not open for him. He remembered that the male lead also tried to steal this from Yi Chenyuan in the previous life, and suffered a qi deviation during the fight. He woke up to find himself tied to this throne. At that time he had considered buying him over, but he definitely wouldn't compromise. Later he found out that Yi Chenyuan was still a virgin even when he ascended. He didn't know why. At this moment, Yi Chenyuan is facing a choice. Heavenly sacrifice art. This was the cultivation method of the Demon King tens of thousands of years ago. A divine technique that could instantly kill anything, but to inherit it, one must sever their emotions. This cultivation method was exactly what Yi Chenyuan wanted to quickly increase his strength. But thinking of cutting off his feelings, his heart truly ached. It was as if he had lost something because of his ruthlessness. So, Yi Chenyuan refused the inheritance. The hidden spirit couldn't help but scoff. His divine emperor bloodline would only become stronger with each tribulation. But, with the heavenly sacrifice art, one wouldn't fear tribulation. Was he not afraid of dying under the heavenly lightning? Yi Chenyuan insisted on his no regrets. The hidden spirit was speechless. He was even more stubborn than his father. Yuan Shu was still spacing out on the throne. The next second, he fell into Yi Chenyuan's arms. Yuan Shu blushed and was about to explain, but Yi Chenyuan held her tightly. Feeling the real sensation in his arms, he sighed contentedly. It's so good to have you. Yuan Shu was crying internally. Was she being taken advantage of? After giving Yuan Shu a good rub, Yi Chenyuan stored the Kunlun weapon and the throne. Unexpectedly, a hole appeared on the ground where the throne disappeared. The bloody smell of divine beasts was coming from within. The two came to an ancient dungeon. What was locked inside was the divine beast White Tiger. The White Tiger was still bleeding from its wounds. At this moment the earth trembled. It was the demon jellyfish. The disappearance of the throne also caused the space barrier to disappear. The jellyfish, smelling blood, wanted to come in. Yi Chenyuan passed a life-binding spell to Yuan Shu, and told her to quickly sign the contract with the White Tiger, while he would go and restrain the jellyfish to buy time. Yuan Shu was shocked. How could Yi Chenyuan, at his cultivation level, fight a 6th-stage jellyfish? But Yi Chenyuan came here to contract the White Tiger. She had to quickly sign the contract with the White Tiger. When Yuan Shu came out, she discovered a strong bloody smell. She immediately realized it was impossible for the jellyfish to injure Yi Chenyuan this severely. Someone must have come. Yuan Shu was right. It was the Vice President Jiyu Wenshu, a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. Yi Chenyuan, facing two enemies, was already covered in injuries. Jiyu Wenshu didn't expect the other party to be at the foundation establishment stage, yet he could hold his own against his attack and the jellyfish. This kind of monster must not be left alive. Just then Yuan Shu seized an opportunity to sneak attack. Jiyu Wenshu sensed a powerful aura. He controlled the jellyfish to block the damage for him. The jellyfish's tentacles were instantly broken, and Yuan Shu was blown away. Jiyu Wenshu quickly formed a long spear, shooting it at Yuan Shu. Yi Chenyuan flashed in front of her and blocked the attack. The energy entered his chest. This scene stung Yuan Shu's nerves. Yuan Shu wanted to fight them, but Yi Chenyuan forcefully restrained her. A flash of lightning appeared in his eyes. He released the heavenly tribulation power, using it to its fullest extent. Jiyu Wenshu and the jellyfish, unable to react in time, were paralyzed by the lightning. Yi Chenyuan took the opportunity to leave with Yuan Shu, and quickly entered the dimension that could isolate their presence. Inside the dimension, Yuan Shu was anxious. What to do when the injured don't drink medicine? Then, use mouth to mouth. Looking at the coldness at Yi Chenyuan's chest, Yuan Shu was extremely anxious. She should have fought them directly. Even if she would fail, it was better than seeing Yi Chenyuan in such a life and death situation. All this damn trouble. Yi Chenyuan opened his eyes. After making sure that Yuan Shu was safe, he passed out again. Yuan Shu was at a loss. She suddenly remembered that she had a 1000-year flower dew that could restore vitality. But how could a comatose person drink it? This thing was very precious. She couldn't waste it. There was no choice but to do this. She took a mouthful of the dew, and held it in her mouth, and then leaned over Yi Chenyuan. Lowering her head, she pressed her lips to his. A bunch of dog food for the viewers, a must for romance. Feeling the softness on his lips, Yi Chenyuan opened his eyes. His eyes widened in shock. With a flip, he pinned Yuan Shu under him. Yuan Shu was panicking internally. What was he going to do? Yi Chenyuan's voice was husky. You kissed me. Oh my god. After saving her, he had to sacrifice himself. I don't care, I want a kiss back too. Not giving her a chance to resist, he quickly pecked her on the forehead. Looking at him in disheveled clothes, handsome and alluring, Yuan Shu's face turned red and backed away. She heard a bang. Someone instantly returned to their original form. I've got a great enemy. Don't go around flirting so much. Little Yuan was shocked. The girl who made his heart flutter was actually his master in disguise. Is she going to become a nun now? Sure enough, Yi Chenyuan looked at her with an incredulous expression. Oh no, I've lost face in front of my disciple. Yi Chenyuan knew that it was master all along, but seeing his master's true form still made him excited. But to not scare his master, he could only act like he already knew. Yuan Shu saw his low mood. She thought she had really hurt him. She quickly tried to explain herself. Why didn't I return to the Wan Jin sect in my original body? Yuan Shu felt guilty. She had no intention of going back. She could only awkwardly say, I couldn't bear to leave you. If something happens to you, wouldn't I be in despair? Then why didn't you stop me when I treated you that way before? Another question she didn't ask was, does she hate him waiting for her? This question made Yuan Shu speechless. I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Master doesn't know anything. Seeing her like this, Yi Chen Yuan couldn't force her. If his questions made Master uncomfortable, he wouldn't ask again. He changed the topic and asked about her identity. He recalled that she was someone's cousin. Yuan Shu then explained how she met Mu Qinghan. And now I'm using his identity, calling myself Mu Qingge. Yi Chen Yuan's expression darkened. You're not allowed to use that name. The Mu family is the first clan in the empire. How could their name be used so easily? If she used this name, many people would target her. And those who approached her weren't good men. Yuan Shu understood what he meant. Then he'll drop it. When they went outside, it was already bright. Fortunately, the fight back then had Yi Chen Yuan's energy signature. The people underwater should not be able to recognize them. If anything happens, there was still a master here. Thinking of Li Lao, Yi Chen Yuan was a bit embarrassed. Fortunately, he was in closed-door cultivation and didn't know what was happening. Suddenly a group of searchers blocked their path. The girl accidentally transmigrated into a cannon fodder, but she did not expect her life. The male lead with the protagonist halo became her disciple, and she was also forced to be his wife. Not long ago, Yuan Shu and Yi Chen Yuan just came out of the woods. Then, they encountered searchers. The two were too similar to the people the vice principal was looking for. The vice principal also mentioned that one of them could control lightning. The leading man took out a spirit root testing token and asked them to channel their spiritual energy into it. Yi Chen Yuan realized that old fogey probably thinks he has a lightning spirit root. The two calmly channeled their spiritual energy into it. One was roots and one was a low-grade spirit root. Clearly not the people they were looking for. The leading man still thought that the two were suspicious. He questioned, why would a girl run into the woods instead of studying in the academy? Before Yuan Shu could speak, Yi Chen Yuan interrupted. We were studying diligently, just that we were so focused that we lost track of time. The man's mouth twitched, studying all night long. Yi Chen Yuan embraced Yuan Shu and lightly kissed her forehead. Then he looked at the leader. His meaning was clear. The man was embarrassed. Were all young people these days so fond of PDA? After they left, Yi Chen Yuan explained to Yuan Shu that what he did was necessary. Yuan Shu blushed and stomped her feet, saying she was hungry. On the way the two were stopped again. It was never ending. She hadn't even had lunch with her little disciple. Because they disappeared for too long, they had to be questioned. But because Yuan Shu was using Mu Qingge's identity, they did not take her, only Yi Chen Yuan. Yi Chen Yuan was very unhappy about this. He didn't expect that his master avoided the search because of another's identity. Before leaving, he gave Yuan Shu her favorite food, and told her not to get too close to other men. He was so jealous. This reverse disciple was actually jealous of his master. He was about to return when Su Heyue stopped him. Yuan Shu didn't want to interact with him. Seeing that she ignored him, he was angry and pulled out his sword but was blocked. Mu Qinghan and Wen Liang arrived. Mu Qinghan anxiously asked if Yuan Shu was hurt. Seeing the person she admired helping Yuan Shu again and again, Su Heyue barked, "Don't you know she's a vixen? She was just cuddling with a man." Yuan Shu was speechless. Why did all these annoying things happen to her? She thought of a way to solve this problem. She announced, "He's not just anyone, he's my fiancé." Su Heyue became even more smug. She's already engaged, but she's still flirting with other men. She's clearly a promiscuous woman. Mu Qinghan angrily scolded her and took Yuan Shu away. On the other side, Yi Chen Yuan and other suspects were questioned and were all cleared. Just when the elder was about to let them go, the vice principal, Jiyu Wenshu, came in and demanded to search their bodies. He is a man, but he likes to wear women's clothes. Anyone he doesn't like would have their cultivation forcibly extracted. Those who were searched would become a waste. His methods were very cruel. As the claw was about to reach Yi Chen Yuan, Yi Chen Yuan's cousin, Jiyu Qingge, stopped him in time. Jiyu Wenshu seemed to be wary of Jiyu Qingge. Jiyu Qingge warned him if he attacked the students again, then their clan would not be spared. Although Jiyu Wenshu was reluctant, he could only stop. After they left, Jiyu Qingge told Yi Chen Yuan that he wasn't her cousin. Turns out when he was young he activated the heavenly bloodline. His body couldn't handle it. To protect his life, his family had found a pure young man as a marriage partner. And that year, the royal grandson was found to have the divine emperor bloodline. So, he was engaged to the royal grandson. But the royal grandson didn't activate the bloodline, so his family found someone to suppress it. They were told that the people of the pure Yang family would be his noble people. Sure enough, he didn't use his blood again after going to that family. He felt that all this good luck was because he had met him. At this time, the spirit in Yi Chenyuan's sea of consciousness wasn't calm. The divine emperor bloodline is too rare. How could that imposter possibly be a divine emperor bloodline? He recalled that the woman had said that her son had been here, which meant that the imposter had stolen his blood. That's how they were found to have the divine emperor bloodline. On another note, Yuan Chu had made up a story about an engagement with Mu Qinghan and Wen Liang. Mu Qinghan's heart was broken. He had no time to act, she was already engaged. Sensing the atmosphere was awkward, Yuan Chu said goodbye to find Yi Chenyuan, but Mu Qinghan said that he wanted to go with her. As good buddies they naturally knew he was going to spy on his rival. Wen Liang said to go together, maybe they could help. Yuan Chu had no idea what they were thinking. Seeing that they were enthusiastic, she agreed. Then, they encountered Yi Chenyuan and Jiu Chinka in the woods. Wen Liang hurriedly pulled Yuan Chu back. He smelled a strong smell of vinegar. The three of them hid behind a wall to eavesdrop. Wen Liang was sure that what was about to happen was, "Don't marry him. He'll take you away." To hear more clearly, Mu Qinghan took out a treasure to conceal their presence. Yi Chenyuan persuaded Jiu Chinka not to marry the royal grandson. After all, this marriage was because of his blood. He could also see that Jiu Chinka wasn't willing. "You're not the only pure young man in the world." Unknowingly, these words had rekindled Jiu Chinki's hope. She could sense that Yi Chenyuan was also pure young. "Then, can you accept me, Chenyuan Gij?" Wen Liang was so shocked he almost screamed. Yuan Chu quickly turned around and hid. "Who was that?" Yuan Chu panicked. "Are we about to be discovered?" "I think you are. The fiancé is with another woman." The fiancé saw it but wasn't angry. She even pulled her friends along to watch. But they ended up being discovered. Yuan Chu awkwardly bowed. Indeed, liars are always punished. This is her first time eavesdropping and she got caught. Thinking about it, little Yang Yang is at the age to be dating. If she did this, wouldn't she be cutting off his peach blossoms? Oh no. What kind of trouble have I gotten myself into? Yi Chenyuan was surprised. Why is master here? Wen Liang immediately became unhappy. What do you mean? Why can he be here but not us? And Jiu Chinka is a rich miss. She already has a fiancé. Isn't she afraid of angering the royal grandson? Yi Chenyuan was stunned. He and Shi Yuhan. Yuan Chu finally couldn't help but shout, "Stop. I was just joking. I liked Yi Chenyuan, so I lied about being his fiancé. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Actually, you two are very compatible." After saying that, she fled. Yuan Chu thought she had explained herself clearly. Now, Xiaoyang Yang and her cousin should have no misunderstandings, right? But why did she feel unhappy? Like the pig she raised was finally going to eat her cabbage. Suddenly, someone touched her shoulder. She looked up and met Yi Chenyuan's fierce gaze. "Disciple, this look is wrong." Could it be that he felt her explanation wasn't clear enough? She clearly did well just now. Yi Chenyuan grabbed her hand without a word. The two disappeared instantly. Inside the room, Yi Chenyuan's inner demons had awoken. Li Lao, worried, thought this was a predemonic state and wanted to stop him. But Yi Chenyuan forcibly activated the heavenly pearl. He slammed Yuan Chu against the wall. "What did you mean by what you said? Who is compatible with whom? Who do you want to push me to?" Yuan Chu sensed that something was wrong with him. She just wanted to say something. But Yi Chenyuan directly sealed her mouth. He felt like another part of him was whispering inside his heart. "Don't suppress your desires. Don't you want to possess her? Continue to make her your woman." Yuan Chu felt a little worried. Suddenly, Yi Chenyuan clutched his head in agony. Yuan Chu was using her soul power to penetrate Yi Chenyuan's body. "What is this? Disciple, are you all right?" The next second, Yi Chenyuan passed out. A few hours later, Yi Chenyuan finally woke up. Yuan Chu's heart also settled down. But what exactly had happened just now? Yi Chenyuan simply told her calmly that he was fine, and said that he didn't like Jiu Chinka at all. So, she had shot herself in the foot. Later, he thought, could it be that he likes the motherly version of her? Yi Chenyuan answered, "No, master." Yuan Chu sighed in relief. Otherwise, she would truly be ruined. Yi Chenyuan didn't continue the topic, but gently asked if Yuan Chu would leave him. Yuan Chu pondered for a moment. She gave him a reassuring smile. "Don't worry, no matter what happens, I will be good to you." Her words didn't reassure Yi Chenyuan, but he also didn't know what was going on with himself. Yuan Chu didn't say anything else. She couldn't love. She knew what she needed to do. She couldn't let his heart be burdened. Besides, Yuan said he didn't like it. She was just being self-indulgent and silly. Li Lao, who was still imprisoned, felt so wronged. One doesn't tell him his identity and then imprisons him. Are they bullying him because he's old? As a result, Li Lao was very angry. You two will not have a good ending. Whoever it was, he would be angry to the extreme. He had even tried to match them up before. Wait a minute, he seemed to have seen them when he touched the marriage stone. He quickly pulled Yuan Chu aside and questioned her. At that time, he had seen them intimately touching each other. Yuan Chu was furious. I was just trying to save him, okay? Nonsense, I didn't see anything. It was such an embarrassing black history, being restrained by her own disciple, too shameful. Soon, Yi Chenyuan was called by the elders again. The great elder realized that Yi Chenyuan was already in the late stage of qi training. He was considered someone who could be molded into a great cultivator. He asked if he was willing to become the second elder's disciple. Yi Chenyuan was confused. Why the sudden decision? Then, he saw Ji Yuchinka next to the second elder. Li Lao instantly understood. It must be because he saw that Yi Chenyuan's cultivation was progressing smoothly, and recommended him to the second elder. This way, he can cultivate a relationship with Yi Chenyuan. Yi Chenyuan refused without thinking. The elders didn't understand why he would refuse. As long as he became the second elder's disciple, he could go directly to the inner sect. With such talent, why waste time in the outer sect? Yi Chenyuan kept his distance from them. I apologize, Miss Ji Yu. I appreciate your kindness. I have decided to hone my skills in the outer sect and then enter the inner sect with my abilities. I can only apologize for disappointing the elders. Ji Yuchinka was stunned when he called her Miss Ji Yu. Why did Chenyuan Gij suddenly become so distant from her? Could it be because of that woman? On the other side, Yuan Chu was lost in her thoughts. Suddenly a voice came to her. Mu Qinghan, he was the son of the empire's richest family. Although he was born with billions, he was schemed against, his cultivation destroyed, and his legs crippled. He fell into despair. He finally died in an accident and his body was never found. This was the life of Mu Qinghan that Yuan Chu knew in her previous life. Looking at the young man standing alive in front of her, Yuan Chu thought, if he can save Mu Qinghan, then he is her life-saving benefactor. In this way, when Xiao Yuan wants to overthrow his family or needs help, Mu Qinghan will definitely help. So, Yuan Chu, with a serious face, reminded Mu Qinghan that someone wanted to harm him, and gave him a jade pendant. If anything happens, crush the jade pendant and I will come and save you. Although Mu Qinghan was very confused, but he still chose to believe her. However, the scene of their conversation was watched by someone behind a wall. Su Heyue was furious, that damn woman. She says she has no interest in Qinghan Gij. The servant ghost saw that his young lady was so angry, and gave her an idea. Wasn't the annual intensive training about to start? Su Heiyu's eyes lit up, but the academy never allowed students to kill each other. Once discovered, they would be punished. The servant ghost said that entry into the intensive training required a token. As long as Su Heyue exchanged Yuan Chu's low-level token for a high-level one, then, with her weak cultivation, she won't be able to survive. The second elder is responsible for distributing tokens. Miss, you can ask your friend, Miss Ji Yu, for help. Su Heyue told Ji Yuchinka about her plan. Ji Yuchinka knew the person she was dealing with was Yi Chenyuan's lover. At first, she was still hesitating, but if that woman died, wouldn't Chenyuan Gij be hers? Yi Chenyuan returned and opened the door. Yuan Chu was bored and playing with her hair. Under the starry sky, she was even more cute. When Yuan Chu saw him, she quickly asked for a treat. Yi Chenyuan handed it to her. Yuan Chu happily munched on a grass cake. Indeed, the happiest things in life are eating, drinking, and sleeping, and having a good disciple. She felt like she was being raised like a child by Xiao Yan. But, since she didn't want to grow up, it was nice being spoiled by Xiao Yuan. Yi Chenyuan was helpless. Do I look like a nanny? But why did his master not want to grow up? Yuan Chu sang, women are always suffering in any world. They have to carry a child for 10 months, raise their children, and endure their looks slowly fading. She believed every girl has a princess in her heart. But the princess in their heart would disappear as they grow older, with those around them and life's hardships. So, she didn't want to grow up. She wanted to be a little dumpling for the rest of her life. Yi Chenyuan looked at her gently. He gently tilted her head up with his hand. His voice was soft in the night. Master, I will do everything I can to make the princess in your heart never disappear. So, Master, you don't need to be afraid of growing up, because I will be with you as we slowly grow old, spoiling you like a princess. Making you always the same as you are now. Yuan Chu was stunned. She looked at him with wide eyes in the night. Her heart began to beat faster and faster. Suddenly, she jumped up like a cat that had its tail stepped on. I'll be right back. Then, she dashed off like she was being chased by a ghost, leaving a confused Yi Chenyuan behind. Yuan Chu clutched her wildly beating heart. Heavens, how could Xiao Yan be so good at flirting? What has Li Lao been teaching him all day? In his sea of consciousness, Li Lao sneezed for no reason. Who was talking about him? Soon, it was the day the intensive training started. Yuan Chu was holding a low-level token. With her strength, Li Lao knew something bad was going to happen. Even though he knew Yuan Chu's strength was among the elites of Qi training, Yi Chenyuan was still worried about his master going alone. He told her she must wait for him in place after entering. The intensive training began. Yi Chenyuan held her hand as they entered. The next second, Yuan Chu disappeared in front of his eyes. The teleportation array was not working properly. He was the youngest foundation establishment cultivator in the cultivation world. Yet, there were always those with no eyes who wanted to scheme against him. Little did Yuan Chu know, she was currently in the special intensive training area. Inside were ruthless killing machines. And Yi Chenyuan entered the primary intensive training area. He couldn't sense his master no matter what. He then realized that his master wasn't in the same intensive training area as him. Yuan Chu obediently waited in place for Xiao Yuan. She waited until she was hungry, but no one came to find her. Even though there was a lot of roasted meat, she didn't want to eat. She seemed lost. Suddenly, Yuan Chu heard fighting noises. Yuan Chu, who had a lively nature, how could she miss out on the fun? But she remembered her disciple's instructions and wanted to ignore it. However, the cries for help made her curious. She couldn't hold back her curiosity. At this time, a mutated three-headed wolf was attacking three cute little kids. Just when they thought they were going to die, a figure blocked the attack. Yuan Chu chuckled. Someone as weak as you dares to eat people. With a light jump and a quick strike, the wolf was repelled. Yuan Chu noticed their laughter wasn't the same as hers and their cultivation was at the Qi condensation realm. They were obviously not outer sect disciples, so it was clear why she couldn't find Xiao Yuan. He had been teleported, and he wasn't in the same secret realm as Xiao Yuan. The girl was named Hong Qiao. The other two were twins, Gij Yuan Shui and Didi Yuan Hua. Suddenly, Hong Qiao remembered Mu Qinghan, who was with them. It turned out there were two of those mutated wolves, and the one that was alone had already left. Yuan Chu understood immediately. Without a second thought, she turned around to look for Mu Qinghan. She couldn't help but think, could it be that Mu Qinghan broke his leg here in the past? At this time, Mu Qinghan had killed the mutated wolf, but he was injured himself. Just as he was about to treat himself, a sharp object suddenly shot at him. He dodged it. A black-robed man appeared with murderous aura. Mu Qinghan thought, could this be the person my brother said would harm me? He sensed that the black-robed man's cultivation was at the late-stage nascent soul realm. He was definitely not a match for him, who was at the early-stage Qi condensation realm. But he couldn't die here. He hadn't achieved his goals. He hadn't confessed to the girl he liked yet. Mu Qinghan used his life force as a price to forcefully enhance his cultivation and attack the black-robed man. He only managed to severely injure the black-robed man. The black-robed man used a skill, Stone-Bone Nightmare. Once parasitized, unless the parasite was removed it couldn't be shaken off. The black-robed man controlled the stone-bone skeleton and rushed towards him. Just as it was about to touch Mu Qinghan, it was grabbed by a hand. Mu Qinghan looked at the person in front of him in shock. The stone-bone skeleton seized the opportunity and pierced Yuan Chu's hand. It hurts. You dare to cause me pain. She charged toward the black-robed man. Mu Qinghan was wide-eyed in disbelief. The little junior sister he was supposed to protect was actually a nascent soul cultivator. The black-robed man didn't expect the other party to be at the nascent soul realm. He was injured and needed a quick battle. His body suddenly grew to the size of a building. Yuan Chu scoffed, you think you're the only one who can transform. Then they saw her become even bigger than the black-robed man. Yuan Chu's mouth curled into a smirk. She stomped on the black-robed man under her feet. The ground shook. The black-robed man was coughing blood from being stomped on. In the end, he had to use a secret technique to escape. Sensing the black-robed man's escape, Yuan Chu was too tired to chase him. Her body gradually shrunk back to normal. Her soul had many injuries and looked rather pathetic. Mu Qinghan looked at her with 1,000 words he wanted to say. The person in front of him completely overturned his perception of her. He then looked at her hand. Her originally fair hand was pierced with white veins that kept moving. It was a frightening sight, but Yuan Chu smiled and comforted him, telling him not to be scared. She had already controlled it and it wouldn't harm anyone. Mu Qinghan was filled with guilt and pain. He worried that her hand would be ruined because of him. Yuan Chu gave him a reassuring smile. Don't think too much, quickly treat yourself. Mu Qinghan was flustered by her smile, his heart beating fast. He quickly took out 6 rejuvenation pills and gave them to her. Yuan Chu's eyes lit up, as expected of a rich guy. She would save it for Xiao Yuan. Afterwards, Mu Qinghan went to the side to treat himself. With the pill's help, his wounds quickly healed. He opened his eyes, and saw Yuan Chu smiling at him brightly. At this moment, Yuan Chu was clean and fair. Her already beautiful face looked even more stunning under the sun. Finally, he couldn't help but say what was on his mind. Qing Ji, I like you. I think you're amazing. This was his first confession in years. But the person he confessed to told him she was only 6 years old. Mu Qinghan could clearly hear his heart break. Wait, then who is that Xiao Yuan? After Yuan Chu explained, he learned that he was just her disciple. So that meant he still had a chance as long as he waited for her to grow up. With that thought, his mood relaxed a lot. Then, he squatted down and asked her what her name was. Yuan Chu replied happily, Yuan Chu's Yuan, Yuan Chu's Chu. Ever since Yi Chen Yuan found out that his master wasn't in the same secret realm, his body dropped to a new low. The secret realm's monsters became the target of his torment. He was afraid of getting caught, so he hid on the side to use range attacks. Suddenly, he felt 2 chi condensation experts approaching rapidly. Li Lao reminded Yi Chen Yuan to hide. The 2 who came were 2 masked men. From their conversation, he learned that a divine artifact was about to appear, and they were looking for a new person to catch to experiment on. It was obvious they were after Yi Chen Yuan. Li Lao told him that Yi Chen Yuan shouldn't use his real name in the empire. Since he was already here, Yuan Chen had no intention of hiding. A divine artifact, the legendary strongest attacking divine artifact. It was said that only those with the bloodline of a divine emperor had a chance to be recognized. Yi Chen Yuan guessed those 2 were people of the royal family. Yi Chen Yuan decided to strike first. Not long after, the 2 masked men were defeated. Yi Chen Yuan found out from the interrogation that it was indeed the royal family who sent them to capture him to exchange his blood. They really thought he was easy to bully. After he got out, he would have to settle things with the royal family. But, he still had 10 days before he could see his master again. He wondered if she would get bullied in his absence. Li Lao stated that she would definitely be fine. However, someone said the same thing last time. The scene changed. Yuan Chu was heard grumbling. Mu Qinghan blushed. It was really his first time. It was his first time helping a girl do her hair. It hurt so much that Yuan Chu wanted to cry. After a while, looking at the crooked braids, he thought it was better to leave it messy. Mu Qinghan wanted to help her redo it. Yuan Chu jumped up and told him to stop. Don't mess with my hair anymore. She quickly took out a bird to roast, but she was stopped by Mu Qinghan. Yuan Chu was still so small. How could she do such dirty work? Seeing his serious face, she relented. Yuan Chu couldn't help but sigh. Someone who couldn't even do a ponytail was going to prepare food for her. But, the bird meat was delicious no matter how it was cooked. Perhaps, she could look forward to it. Mu Qinghan was trying his best, although he never cooked before. But, he had to make this dish delicious. He had to let her know that he was a reliable man. Maybe, she would choose him after she grew up. With his endless effort, he finally lit a fire. His happiness was now resting on the meal. Confidently, he gave her the roast meat. Under their hopeful gazes, Yuan Chu's eyes lit up at the sight of the roast meat. As she bit into the meat, Yuan Chu was in tears. Seeing her cry, Mu Qinghan panicked. Could it be that the food made her cry? Yuan Chu explained that it wasn't that, but she suddenly missed her elders at home. Seeing that his face was covered in ash, she told him to wash up. He couldn't face Yuan Chu with a dirty face. After saying that, he quickly went to wash up. Yuan Chu looked at the bird in her hand. It was cooked, but the internal organs weren't cleaned. She felt her future was bleak. Xiao Yuan, I really miss you. After Mu Qinghan came back, he told her an even worse news. One day outside equals days in the secret realm. The flow of time in the secret realm is different than outside. That meant she would have to stay here for days. She had a feeling that Xiao Yuan would be very angry. Looking at Yuan Chu's changing expression, Mu Qinghan stopped him, seemingly liking him more. Suddenly, Yuan Chu sensed someone approaching. She quickly put on her mother's voice. Sure enough, 3 people walked out of the woods. It was Hong Qiao and the twins. Hong Qiao saw Yuan Chu and Mu Qinghan together, praising how powerful they were. Their team is even more secure. That night, Yuan Chu was dreaming of being intimate with Xiao Yuan. Suddenly, a pain jolted her hand, piercing her heart. The girl's hand was extracting Yuan Chu's power, tormenting her every night. The pain suddenly spread upwards, trying to drain her life force. Yuan Chu moaned in pain. Xiao Yuan, it hurts so much. At the same time, Yi Chenyuan's heart suddenly skipped a beat in a different dimension. A strange unease prevented him from calming down. Let these 10 days pass quickly, I miss Master. At this time, Yuan Chu was in a deep coma. Mu Qinghan's face was pale, but he didn't know what to do. Yuan Chu struggled to tell him there was a singing sound. However, they didn't hear anything. Mu Qinghan realized this was a soul attack. Yuan Chu asked Mu Qinghan if he could use a soul weapon. Getting a positive answer, she told him. He took out the spirit-calming moon seal, and used the song to counteract the soul attack. Mu Qinghan, without thinking, attached it to his flute. He knew singing consumed a lot of soul force. He would protect her even if he was injured. Mu Qinghan held Yuan Chu tightly in his arms as a soft melody filled the night. Hong Qiao and the others saw and retreated to protect. Seeing that Yuan Chu seemed better, Mu Qinghan sang even more earnestly. He repeated the song for a whole hour. But he couldn't help but cough up blood because his soul force was depleting too quickly. He couldn't stop, even if it meant death. In a mountain cave, a black-robed man smirked. He couldn't figure out who would be able to counter his soul attack. After an unknown amount of time, Yuan Chu slowly opened her eyes. But she saw Mu Qinghan's pale face. Mu Qinghan saw she had woken up. He couldn't hold on anymore and fell on her. He was the reason she suffered. He really seems to be dying. He was just really unwilling. He hadn't waited until she grew up. Yuan Chu's tears welled up. If Mu Qinghan hadn't sung for her, she would have died. But his soul force was seriously depleted now. Normal healing pills wouldn't work. She would never let him die. She took out the Nirvana flame lotus, and put Mu Qinghan inside to nourish him. This time Hong Qiao and the others came. They were outside of the barrier and could not stop him. Yuan Chu realized she was the only one that could help. Hong Qiao thought Mu Qinghan was gone. Yuan Chu told them that he wasn't dead, but his soul was in chaos. She would find a way to save him even though it would be difficult, but she knew a way as long as they helped her. Hong Qiao readily agreed. If it wasn't for Mu Qinghan protecting them, they would have been long gone. Then, Yuan Chu told them her plan. At this time, the black-robed man was picking herbs to heal himself. Suddenly, a net fell from the sky. Before he could react, he was trapped. Hong Qiao and the others held the net tight. The black-robed man didn't expect Yuan Chu to find him, but he didn't think it could trap him. The black-robed man used the ghost flame and shattered the net. Hong Qiao and the others quickly switched formations, trapping the black-robed man in a formation. But he also wouldn't let Yuan Chu off easily. He controlled the blood weeping and soul drain. Blood, tears and moans. Start moving. Yuan Chu's pupils turned crimson. She endured the soul-crushing pain. She blocked the attack and severed the black-robed man's arms. But Yuan Chu's strike wasn't enough. She used the light of bliss. Thousands of golden swords rained down on the black-robed man. He was on the verge of death. The black-robed man gave up his body and his soul escaped, thinking he was unseen. But he fell into a net. And this was Yuan Chu's ultimate goal. The black-robed man tried to explain and negotiate with Yuan Chu. If it was normal, Yuan Chu would consider it. But he had almost killed Mu Qinghan. How could she let him go? I believe in you. It was now his soul that could be eaten. To cultivate as the soul was a great supplement. Yuan Chu absorbed the soul power into her body. Then, she transferred it to Mu Qinghan. After a while, Mu Qinghan's eyes opened with his soul force restored. But, he was face-to-face with a woman with an enchanting appearance. Recognizing her as Yuan Chu, he blushed. Realizing that she was sharing her soul force, he tried to resist. He started to struggle. Yuan Chu frowned, and forcefully held his chin to stop him. Their intimate position made his heart race. In a daze, he only had one thought: he wanted to kiss her. Suddenly, Yuan Chu's voice cut through his thoughts. Mu Qinghan was incredibly embarrassed. How could he think of such a thing at this time? He quickly changed the subject, asking what Yuan Chu fed him. Yuan Chu just smiled slightly. He wouldn't want to know. This made Mu Qinghan's face turned red. Shameless woman, they were talking about her, right? 10 days later, Yi Chenyuan was thinking of his master while waiting for the secret realm to open. He heard two students chatting. The secret realm lasts 50 days, while only 1 day passes outside. Yi Chenyuan's face turned pale. Could it be that the other secret realms had a different time flow? The students' discussion told him. The time flow for the beginner, intermediate, and advanced secret realms was the same. Only the special secret realm was days to day, and that special realm was days. Yuan Chu led a group of disciples and went everywhere to steal. At this time, they had their eyes on a group of people. While they attracted the guardian spirit's attention, they went to steal the treasure, the ice blue snow lotus. The others were excited and agreed. But before they could move, she had already disappeared. Oh no, the good kids have been corrupted by her. Yuan Chu easily picked the ice blue snow lotus. But she was discovered. The others retreated. Someone recognized Mu Qinghan, the son of the richest man in the empire. They were so angry. He was so rich, yet he was stealing from them. Why would he steal others' things before? But, seeing Yuan Chu so happy, he decided not to think about it. He did not expect that the other party possessed such a high-level technique. Two women suddenly appeared in front of them, blocking their path. The people behind them also caught up, trapping them. At this time, the entire secret realm suddenly started shaking. Not good, we are being teleported out. Taking advantage of their distraction, Yuan Chu swallowed the ice blue snow lotus in one go. When the other party found out, she had already absorbed it. The woman was so angry she was about to die. Without thinking, she attacked Yuan Chu. A light shone on everyone, and the next second they were all ejected from the secret realm.